from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Today it's Game 2 of this three-game weekend series between the first-place Astros and the Seattle Mariners. Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Brown along with Alan Ashby. Bart Ennis joins us in a few minutes for Game 2 of this series. The Astros last night, Ash, snapped their 7-game losing streak and had a blowout 10-0 win here.
In a ball game that looked on paper like it might be an 8-game losing streak ready to happen. Felix Hernandez going for Seattle. The Astros had not been swinging the bats well, so it really didn't set up well, but you never know with this crazy game.
100 games to go for the Astros now, and we'll see in the last 5 seasons how many teams in playoff position have clinched the deal. 47 of them through 62 games played in playoff position, either a wild card berth or a division lead. 31 of the 47 made it, 66%.
Brownie, what that tells me is that it puts you in a pretty good position to be able to get to the postseason, but it also says that about a third of the teams that were in that position did not make it. So you got to keep playing baseball. The Astros have got to continue to go out there. They're getting younger. In my assessment, they're getting better in the process, and keep going out and having fun playing this game.
Well, last night they did exactly that with an 8-run first inning.
Well, a big-time first inning against Felix Hernandez, who threw just 31 pitches on the night. Valbuena got him a 3-run bomb. Castro put the cherry on top with a 2-run homer to end the night for Felix. Later in the night, Carlos Correa hits his second Major League home run opposite field, and Chris Carter entered the fray as well. The Astros had a 4-home-run night, and they'll take their chances anytime when they have that kind of power going.
Coming up, Correa is king. The Astros took down King Felix Hernandez last night and crowned a new king in the process. Bart Ennis looks back at Carlos Correa's whirlwind first night at Minute Maid Park when we return.
Seventh win of the season today against the Seattle Mariners. Astros fans making their way in. hoping to see yet another big win for the Astros like they got last night. That was a great crowd they had here last night. They were loud, they were vocal, a lot of energy in the stadium, and the players admitted afterward they sure did feel it, and they really appreciated it. Now, of course, a lot of those fans were here to see the phenom, the shortstop, Carlos Correa, playing his first game at Minute Maid Park last night, and of course, he did not disappoint. But before the game, he had a lot to do. For a guy trying to focus on taking on Felix Hernandez, he was busy doing photo shoots and press conferences. He had 36 tickets left for friends and family, and they needed all of those as he spent some time on the field taking pictures with those family members before the game. Then he walked down beyond the dugout, signed a few autographs, talked to some fans, and then he went out and performed the way they have come to expect him to perform. He had a home run in the game, and then afterwards, our Geico quote of the day, he said, "It's just something you feel." Your family up there, to be able to hit a home run and be able to point at them, I know that they really appreciated it, and I'm just going out there to try to help the team win games. That's what this kid is all about, and the amazing thing about him is the way he carries himself. His calm demeanor, his confidence. He's not cocky, but he knows, since he's been the best player pretty much on every team he's ever played on, that he belongs up here. And today, there was a young 10-year-old cancer patient on the field. Carlos came over, signed his baseball, took some pictures, and then said to the kid, "If I get a hit today, I'm going to make sure you get my gloves and my bat." Made the kid's day. Afterwards, I leaned over to the parents and I said, the most amazing thing about what happened there is that player is only 10 years older than your child. Carlos Correa is an amazing player, and he's an amazing young man as well. All right, going to take a break now. Coming back in just a moment, we'll have starting lineups and first pitch. Stay with us.
Astros have unleashed their talent pool and activated a battle plan that has sent shockwaves through the AL West. Now, with the youth in full revolt and the fans fully energized, baseball is fun again in Houston, Texas. 100 games to go. How long will the revolution last? And as we get ready for Game 2 of this series, and the Astros still have the leadership by 2.5 games over the Texas Rangers in the American League West. The Angels are 3.5 back. Seattle Mariners now have fallen to 7.5 games behind Alan Ashby, and the Mariners were picked by many to win not only this division, but win the entire American League this year.
Things don't always work out the way the experts say they're going to work out. I probably am most surprised by the Texas Rangers in the division. A lot of people might say the Astros. But I think the Astros are, as you said in the open there, starting to accumulate some talent right now that for me, makes them the favorite in the division. And that goes a long way when you're talking about teams that spend like the Angels and the Seattle Mariners have done, and the Texas Rangers, of course. So it's been a phenomenal growth now for the Houston Astros.
As they take the field, they are 20-13 here at Minute Maid Park, and they're getting a lot more support with bigger attendance. Last night, illustrative of that, with 32,173 showing up for the 10-0 win for the Astros over Seattle. And now it's Colin McHugh's turn to try to build on what happened last night.
Colin McHugh has plenty of history against these Seattle Mariners. In a brief time in the big leagues, he's 5-2 in 7 starts. ERA at 4.23. It seems that he's pitched actually better than that. The batting average against just at 2.12. But you look at the 12 starts on the year, the 6-2 mark, ERA higher than he would like. You know he wants, with that competitive nature, to shave that down. Since August 1st of last year, 13-2. Of course, he's had a great long winning streak in terms of decisions over that span. So Colin McHugh is a guy that maybe belies the first glance appearance of him. He's tough, and he really wants to win.
Here's the lineup he'll be facing today. Seattle has lost 8 of its last 11, 2-2 on the road trip, leading off with left fielder Seth Smith. Austin Jackson plays center field, batting second. The number 3 hitter is second baseman Robinson Cano. It's the cleanup man and the American League home run leader. In right field, Nelson Cruz. Kyle Seager at third base, Mark Trumbo the DH, Logan Morrison at first base, Brad Miller the shortstop, Mike Zunino the catcher, and the pitcher will be lefty Mike Montgomery.
Defensively for the Houston Astros this afternoon in the outfield left to right, Colby Rasmus, Jake Marisnick, and George Springer. On the left side of the infield, Luis Valbuena and Carlos Correa. On the right, Marwin Gonzalez as Altuve gets a day or two off. Chris Carter at first base. Jason Castro is behind the plate.
The Astros are 7-1 against the Mariners this season. They're 5-0 here at Minute Maid Park against them. Finale of the series will be tomorrow with a 1:10 start. Then the Colorado Rockies are here Monday night and Tuesday afternoon on this 5-game homestand. Now Seth Smith will step up, and McHugh, who is 5-2 lifetime against Seattle with a 4.23 ERA, gets set to go to work with 3 infielders between first base and second. Marwin Gonzalez, the second baseman, moving Carlos Correa over a little bit to his right, and there's strike 1 to Smith. Smith at 261 has 5 long balls. He's driven in 16. He chops one into the ground, and that makes it an 0-2 count with Jackson and Cano to follow here in the Mariners' first inning. They are dead last in runs scored. Those fans hope it stays that way.
There's been a lot of talk about Colin McHugh maybe using the fastball less than some people would like to see. First 2 pitches in the game, fastballs here, and well spotted.
Broken bat, and it's a foul ball to Carter, knocked down, and the count remains no balls, 2 strikes.
That over-the-top curveball is the big strikeout weapon for Colin.
It has been a weapon for him. He's been throwing his fastball more often here in the month of June. But according to the statistics we get, he only throws his fastball 30% of the time.
Of course, one of the areas of confusion is, what do you call the cutter? Is it a fastball? Is it a slider? And I think the determination of what the pitches are might be in question.
Excellent point. Now 1-2. And he's thrown in recent starts a lot of fastballs like that. An 0-2 fastball, but pretty far away from the strike zone.
Which doesn't help you as a pitcher. As a pitcher-catcher combination, you want something that induces a check swing at the very least.
Now 2-2.
There's that little cutter. And some people might think, well, that's a slider. That's a version of his fastball.
Seth Smith is 1 for 6 lifetime. It's Colin McHugh. Seth, 32 years old. He reaches and he strikes out.
And there's that curveball for the punch out. Colin has a real good curveball right over the top. There you see, 12-6. Kind of sums it up. Gets that rotation right over the top.
Austin Jackson comes up, taking, and there's strike one on the inside part of the plate. Jackson was 0 for 3 last night. 262 for the season, 3 homers, 8 runs batted in.
Looks like the early philosophy for the Mariners might be take a strike, but that'll change if Colin can go out there and get ahead with that first pitch.
It's 1-1. Jackson was on the disabled list since he came back from a right ankle sprain. He's hit .340 in 50 at bats. That one got away, and it's 2-1. Brett Oberholzer gave the bullpen a rest last night with 8 sparkling shutout innings, giving up just 3 singles. The Mariners managed only 4 singles in the game. Two balls and 2 strikes now for Colin McHugh. So with Obi stepping up with his best start of the season and McHugh shooting for win number 7, the Astros hope to be in good shape for tomorrow's finale when Lance McCullers opposes Roenis Elias. There's a shot foul. And the Mariners will continue on their road trip. They'll go back out west to play at San Francisco for a couple of games, while the Astros are welcoming the NL West Rockies here in interleague play. Off the end of the bat, diving Marwin Gonzalez. He can't prevent the single through into right center field. Jackson's aboard with a 1-out hit.
Not a bad curveball. Probably not exactly where Colin wanted it, but you take your chances on that pitch. Jackson hits it right off the end of the bat. Say not bad. Well off the plate and still yielding the hit.
Marwin laid out for it, playing for the injured Jose Altuve, who's better today with a hamstring strain. Robinson Cano is 1 for 3 in this series, but his average far below the normal resting place at the end of any season for Robinson Cano. There's strike one. Cano at .239 with 2 homers, has 19 runs batted in. He's had 6 straight seasons hitting over .300.
There's 3 consecutive hitters for the M's taking first pitch fastball strikes. That'll change at some point and likely quickly.
Cano's hitting .323 against Houston pitching, 10 hits in 31 at bats. That's up for a ball, and it's 1-1. Now, Cano came to life somewhat in the Cleveland series. He had 3 doubles and stung the ball in that series, but his power numbers way off from the norm. .328 slugging percentage. He came into this season with a .499 career slugging percentage. Correa shading toward the middle, but still on the third base side of second.
Look, Cano was signed by the Mariners to make them a better offensive club, and he did last year. Hasn't been the case this year.
Without much protection in the lineup last year, he hit .314 with 14 homers, 82 runs batted in. Had excellent numbers, .382 on base average. Now with Nelson Cruz behind him, he has not come close to those numbers. He rocks one to right field, sending George Springer back toward the wall. Now looking up, it caroms off the wall. He plays it quickly on the bounce and gets it back into Marwin Gonzalez. Extremely well played to prevent Jackson from scoring on the double by Cano, his 16th of the year.
So you talk about Cano struggling offensively, and he goes up there and slams a double off the wall in right field. Pretty amazing.
Never fails, right?
And that's not a bad pitch. You don't want that cutter slider down and in, particularly unless you get it down out of the strike zone. And as you say, George Springer played that extremely well.
Now the Astros have to deal with Nelson Cruz, and he's the #1 run producer on this Seattle club. The infield will stay back and concede the run with runners at second and third and 1 out. He waves at a curveball. That's a good strike one for McHugh. Cruz with excellent numbers, 326, 18 homers, tying him with Mike Trout for the league lead. 39 runs batted in. That's in the top 10. And he's second in total bases in the American League right now. 1 for 3 last night. That's up, and it's a 1-1 count with Kyle Seager on deck. The Mariners as a team have hit just .216 with runners in scoring position. Cruz is not a big part of that. He's done well. Cruz shoots a line drive to right field. Springer over. That's a hit in front of him. 1-run scoring. And it's 1-0 Seattle on the Cruz RBI, his 40th of the year.
Sometimes you make good pitches and give up hits. And you get the sense that that might be going on for Colin here in the inning. He was trying to work away, wound up finding the inside corner, and Nelson Cruz, as a lot of good run producers do, stays on the ball, hits it the other way despite it being in.
Now with men on first and third, the Mariners have Kyle Seager at the plate. Seager's driven in 34 runs. He has 10 homers, including a couple of grand slams this season, with a .271 average for Seager. The shift is on for him. There's the stop by Castro on ball 1 in the dirt. Seager's 27 years old. He's really blossomed. Drove in 96 last year. He's an excellent glove man as well. He won a Gold Glove. And the Mariners are trying to give the Astros a payback for the Astros' 8-run first against them last night. Now it's 2-0 to Seager.
And the Astros have flat been dominating this club right here in Houston.
Now they've won all 5 games here, sweeping that 4-game series earlier this year. A couple of those games were 1-run affairs. Seager's 1 for 19 against McHugh. This one goes out toward left center field. Marisnick backing way back at the wall. Marisnick leaps. He retains possession of it on a terrific catch up against the wall. It's a sac fly, 2-0, but Marisnick robs what could have been a much bigger inning.
Crucial play to make. Yes, Seattle leads 2-0, but it could be one of those innings that goes like the Astros turned on Seattle last night, if not for a play like this. Jake Marisnick can go get it with anybody in the game. And that's a really tough portion of the field to deal with. Angles all over the place.
He took a body blow going into that fence. Sac fly for Seager. Cruz staying at first on out number 2. Now Mark Trumbo looks at ball 1. Trumbo had a good season going for Arizona with 9 homers, 23 runs batted in. .238 his overall batting average, but since putting on a Mariner uniform, he has 1 RBI, no homers, and 32 at bats with 4 hits, all of them singles. This one a line drive hit into left center field. Marisnick over to play it, and that's hit number 4 of the inning by the M's.
Mark Trumbo now has 5 hits in, I believe, 33 at bats with Seattle, all singles. But that one solidly struck.
Brent Strom is out with Logan Morrison ready to bat next. What a difference from game 1 of this series to game 2. Game 1, Brett Oberholzer had a 1-2-3 first inning. Felix Hernandez for the Mariners gave up 8 earned runs in 1/3 of an inning. And now Colin McHugh is really trying to fight his way through this difficult first inning, trailing 2-0, having allowed 4 hits.
Pitchers tend to work well within their own heads, and a lot of times when a pitching coach or a position player finds his way out to the mound, it's hard for that pitcher to look up and look into the other person's eyes because you're thinking so much as a pitcher about what you need to do.
Logan Morrison looks at ball one. At 255, he has 6 homers, 17 runs batted in. Morrison was 1 for 4 last night. Infield continues to play left-handed hitters to pull. Brad Miller is on deck. That makes it 1-1.
Brent Strom, you could hear his voice. He loves that pitch. Good high heat thrown on by the hitter. This rare back, put it up there in the top portion of the strike zone. Take your chances.
Out to right field again. Springer back again, looking at this one, soar over his head, and that's a 3-run homer. Now the Mariners have put up a big number in their first inning in game 2 of this series. Morrison striking for number 7 of the season. He's driven in 20, and they have a big 5-0 lead.
Well, the table turns, and the Astros offense already knows they've got some work cut out for them. Curveball stays up. That's your standard hanger. I think Colin knew instantly this wasn't coming back. Truth of the matter is, you don't see a lot of hitters hit that ball out of the ballpark. A lot of times it's just taken, but that hanger got busted.
Ball 1 to Brad Miller. Miller at 231 has 5 homers, 15 runs batted in. Morrison has made an impact on this one with home run number 7. And it goes against the grain of what the Mariners have done. They had hit 64 home runs this season. 70% of them had been solo shots. Now it's 3-0 to Miller, and Mike Zunino, the number 9 hitter, is on deck.
You prepare for 5 days. Think you're ready all the time and give it everything you've got, and then this happens in the first inning. It's really tough to take.
3-1. Colin had a rough second inning a few starts ago and got his head together in the dugout after that frame. Decided he was going to stay out there for a while, and he wound up pitching 7. That's a looping fly ball hit to center field. Marisnik patrols the ground well for out number 3. But 5-run score on 5 hits. Seattle 5, Houston coming up. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. George Springer leads it off in right field. He's on a 5-game hitting streak, back to the number 1 spot in the order after hitting third last night. It's Carlos Correa batting second today. He's the shortstop, followed by DH Evan Gattis, first baseman Chris Carter, left fielder Colby Rasmus, center fielder Jake Marisnick, third baseman Luis Valbuena, second baseman Marlon Gonzalez, catcher Jason Castro.
And on the mound for Seattle, 25-year-old rookie. It is Mike Montgomery, and he's pitched well in 2 starts. They have both been at home, and so he makes his first major league start on the road. Numbers are very good. Former number 1 pick, first round, I should say.
That's a clean single and a 6-game hitting streak as George Springer is aboard. Back to the leadoff spot where he has been so successful. He has hit .348 as the leadoff man since May 24th.
He's done a lot of his work hitting back up the middle into right field. Now he gets the head out a little bit, gets a knock as he actually rolls over one. But I'm glad to see him mix in a ball to left field, so he has that ability maybe to start driving some balls out to left.
Carlos Correa is off to a terrific start as a major league player, taking strike 1. He's hit in all 4 major league games. .313 batting average, 2 homers, 4 runs batted in. 2 other Astros have hit 2 homers in their first 4 major league games with the Astros, Glenn Davis and Ken Caminetti. In for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Correa. Correa with family and friends here last night drove one into the right center field bullpen, going 1 for 4. Evan Gattis is on deck. Correa is down on a foul tip strikeout, 1 out for Montgomery. As you saw, he was traded for Erasmo Ramirez from Tampa Bay. His original organization was Kansas City. And Montgomery was a supplemental pick, the 36th player drafted in the 08 draft. Last year he was at AAA Durham, going 10-5 with a 4.29 ERA. Evan Gattis with 39 runs batted in is in the top 10 in the American League. That's strike 1. Gattis with 12 homers has a .227 batting average. Last night he had an RBI, going 1 for 3 with a walk. As Ash mentioned, Montgomery's only made 2 major league starts. The Astros getting their first look at him. He was born in Mission Hills, California. And as you indicated, both of them have been solid. In his debut, moving in for the injured lefty James Paxton against the Yankees, June 2nd, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings, got a no decision. Last time out, a 3-1 loss, surrendering just 2 runs in 7 innings against Tampa Bay on Sunday. Now 2-1.
I don't know if there's something deceptive about him, but Carlos Correa, at least in that one at bat, just never looked like he saw anything well.
Average fastball has been 91 for Montgomery through his first 2 major league starts. He throws over to first. Springer with 13 steals and 15 tries has been proficient at running. Astros come up trailing by 5 in their first at bat. And another throw goes over. They love to start pecking away on that scoreboard right here in the first inning. Mariners have the 5th best starters ERA in the American League, 3.86. Runner going, line drive to short. That's going to be an easy double play on an apparent hit and run from 6-3. No runs a hit, nobody left. 5-0 Seattle after 1. presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Bud Light. Stay in the game and drink responsibly. Warm day outside. The air conditioning pumping inside. There will be a concert from Christian artist Mercy Me after the game today. 5-0. The Mariners lead the Astros. And it'll be Mike Zunino leading it off in the second inning. This is Faith and Family Night. And Colin McHugh and Josh Fields will give live faith testimonies after the game, along with All-Star second baseman Jose Altuve. Zunino looks at strike one. At 162, he has 7 homers. He's driven in 15 runs. Zunino last night was 0 for 2 with a walk. This one goes in the air toward George Springer's territory in right field. 1 out. Well, we talked about 2 starts ago for Colin McHugh here. He beat Baltimore 6-4. He gave up 4 in the second inning in that one, and still was able to stay in for 7 innings and got the win.
It was an impressive effort, I thought, because he did have to face tough times early. And as you said, went back to the dugout, got it straightened out, came back out and had success the rest of the day.
This is the 3rd time he's faced Seattle this season. He is 2-0 in the first 2. Seth Smith, the batter. Strike 1 to Smith. Colin won 6-3 at Seattle April 21st. 7 innings, 3 runs, and then he won 11-4 here against the Mariners. 7 innings, 4 runs, and he gave up 4 solo homers in that 11-4 win here against the Mariners. Smith swinging late on the heater takes the count to 1-2.
92 on that heater from Colin.
Now we've seen him throw his fastball about 87 or 88 on some of his starts this year, Ash.
At times, and those could be 2-seamers, but Colin trying to get back in that groove with a little bit more of that 4-seamer.
Out to right center field, Springer moving over and diving, and gets by him, and it's backed up by Marisnick. Great try by Springer. It's a double by Smith. With where Marisnick was positioned, it was Springer's ball or it was an extra base hit. George went all out for it. 17th double for Smith.
Yeah, that's everything a guy's got in right field. And there's Colin trying to come up and in, utilize the fastball, 92. But Seattle is on it here this afternoon. Not as close as you can come.
Austin Jackson's the batter. Foul pop goes back, strike 1.
You wonder what George was thinking. Did he have a chance? Got a lot of balls that I think most of us have thought no chance, and he's come up with them.
Curveball goes for ball 1 to Jackson, and it's 1-1.
I've seen a lot of times when a pitcher gets kind of directed to get back to his fastball where suddenly starts giving up more hits. Now it hasn't been all fastballs hit, so you can't really fault that thought pattern right here.
Correa to his right. Accurate throw, 2 outs.
In terms of that fastball for Colin, this year he has started throwing it more, at least in the assessment of those determining what pitches have been thrown, but from month to month improving or throwing more from April to May, and then considerably more here in June. But you're starting to see also some of the numbers escalate in terms of the ERA.
McHugh trying to get Robinson Cano now. Cano doubled to right field in the first inning. And that's ball 1. With Cano signing that lucrative multi-year deal, he was the player Seattle identified to build around. And then they added to that by signing Cruz over this past winter. 2 balls, no strikes. Cano signed a 10-year, $240 million contract prior to last season with Seattle as a free agent. Fights it off, and it's 2-1 to Robinson Cano, whose father pitched briefly for the Astros, Jose Cano.
Pitched for a long time in the home run derby a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he did. He couldn't get his son out.
Robinson was finding Pop's pitching much to his liking.
There are some fans who remembered Jose Cano pitching for the Astros who might have noticed a resemblance. It's 3 balls and a strike.
This is what occasionally happens with Colin. He just loses the feel of the fastball. He leaves it arm side and not even close. And last year what we noticed a lot was he would start throwing the slider in the need to find the strike zone, and usually it worked for him.
In tight. Cano works a walk. That's the first of the day for Colin McHugh. Nelson Cruz will follow. Castro out with a word for McHugh. Cano is 34. Cano's 32 rather. Cruz is 34. So the Mariners obviously placing a lot of faith in these 2 players to deliver for them. Cruz signed a 4-year, $57 million deal last December. And they are really in a go for it mode right now in their organization. Cruz hit 13 homers in his first 20 road games this year. And this has been one of his favorite parks down through the seasons. A turn towards second base. Nobody went to cover. Seth Smith back to the bag.
There's Nelson Cruz a year ago in Baltimore was able to take advantage of one of the better hitting ballparks in all of Major League Baseball. Seattle has been believed to be otherwise a pitcher's park.
Strike to Cruz.
Although dimensions have been changed, I think it's a lot more fair these days.
Cruz has averaged a homer every 10.6 at bats in his career against Houston pitching. He swung at. No, he didn't. The appeal went to Paul Nauert, and he ruled a check swing by Cruz. 1-1.
Let's take our own analysis. That's right in that really close range. Bat came to right near the front end of the plate. If you were watching the baseball go through, though, his bat was right through at the same time as the ball.
Fouled away. 1-2 to Nelson Cruz. And you saw a moment ago those stats on the screen for Cruz's average here at Minute Maid Park, 347. 10 homers and 98 at bats in this ballpark.
Brownie, you mentioned those early home runs on the road for Cruz this year. Of his 18 home runs, 14 have been hit on the road.
Broken bat. It goes to Correa with a toss to Gonzalez for the force. The barrel of the bat wound up even with third over in foul territory. No runs ahead. A couple of men left. 5-0 Mariners.
month of June, hitting .290 with a 1.102 OPS, over 1,000 so far this month, and handling the inside fastball a whole lot better. Yes, the breaking ball down and away is a way that a lot of teams have tried to pitch, Chris, but they also try to come in, and you can see in April, May, he really struggled with that fastball in the month of June. Much, much better, and that's led to some of the long balls now that Chris is adding to his totals.
Strike one to Chris. Those long balls total 11. He's driven in 31. Hit one last night. Quickly he's fallen behind. No balls, 2 strikes. With a .206 batting average for Carter. .290 this month with 3 long balls. And it's 1-2 for Montgomery, shooting for his first major league win. He threw a higher percentage of fastballs his last start than he did in his first one. In tight, and it's 2-2. Astros had a miserable road trip in terms of offense. They were really stymied as they were swept on that 6-game trip. And they have not been nearly as effective against left-handed starting pitching the last couple of weeks as they were to start the season. Little roller goes to first base. Logan Morrison, 1 out. They've dropped 7 of their last 8 against left-handed starters. Colby Rasmus bats. They hit only .207 on that road trip to Toronto and Chicago, scoring 14 runs in 6 games with a .308 slugging percentage. Rasmus with a .241 average, trying to get things started here. The Astros got a Springer single in the first inning, but he was erased on a line drive double play on a hit and run play. And it's strike one. Brad Peacock is on his way back to Houston, Ash, to be reevaluated after one minor league rehab start. That intercostal strain had kept him on the disabled list for weeks. He made the one start, lasted 2 innings, threw a bullpen. Things didn't feel quite right, so he's headed back.
Yeah, it would seem to be a shame with Brad Peacock. Good stuff. When he has his command, he's an effective pitcher in the major leagues, but injuries have destroyed his chances.
Liner to left, up against the wall, not able to make the catch. Here's Smith. Rasmus in with a double. Well hit ball on an 0-2 count to the opposite field by Rasmus.
I think Seth Smith was feeling the wall a little early. It's a ball that I think any pitcher standing on the hill thinks needs to be caught, and I would tend to agree. Nice job by Colby. He doesn't hit a lot of balls this way. Seth Smith just didn't get all the way back.
Now Jake Marisnick has a runner in scoring position. 13 two-base hits for Rasmus. Marisnick take their strike one. 250. 4 homers, 18 runs batted in for Jake. He was on fire in the month of April, hitting .159 against lefties. He was 0 for 2 last night. With the Astros winning it 10-0, they got George Springer out of the game after 3 at-bats, and Marisnick took over, going 0 for 2. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. This theme of the Astros struggling against lefties certainly was heightened by that White Sox series. The White Sox threw 6 different lefty starting pitchers against the Astros, and they had an 0.84 ERA against Houston. Two balls and a strike.
That's not like all teams can just say, well, there's the way to go after the Astros, because most rotations are not made up with that ability. But you would think the Astros offense would be primed for left-hand pitching.
Yeah, but the likes of Jose Altuve, who kills lefties, George Springer, Evan Gattis, Chris Carter, all strong right-handed batters.
Now Carlos Correa.
But perhaps just a lull with the bats that might have happened no matter who was on the mound.
That's the thing. Timing, I think, is one of the most overlooked factors in this game.
Strikeout number 2 for Montgomery.
That changeup is a pitch he uses quite a bit and well. Get that started down near the knees somewhere. Bats tend to start.
Luis Valbuena bats next. Looking down on Towels Hill, they enjoy a little refreshment. Valbuena hit one out of play last night, his 13th home run of the year. There's ball 1. He's driven in 24 with a 181 average. So Luis is tied for the club home run lead now, or he is the club home run leader rather, with 13. He was 1 for 4 in last night's game. He was tied with Evan Gattis before last night's long ball. That's a foul ball, and it's 1-1. The Astros have been a good come from behind team this season. Trailing by 5 after 1/2 inning of play is certainly a test of that for any team, though. Their largest comeback win was a 4-run deficit. In the dirt, and it's 2-1. Great crowd last night. Enjoyed all the offense from the Astros today. A different tone has been set by the M's. That's a wide one, and it's 3-1. Congratulations to the Corpus Christi Hooks, who have done a marvelous job. They're on their way to the first half title. And also Quad Cities has clinched a playoff spot. Quad Cities River Bandits are 40-20. That one gets by the catcher Zunino, and Rasmus is wild pitch to third on ball 4 to Valbuena. Now for Marwin Gonzalez. Jose Altuve came out and talked with the media today about the right hamstring strain. He had not been having problems with that leg at all. It came on a run up the first base line to try to beat that throw at first. He didn't quite beat it. But A.J. Hinch said he was encouraged by the evaluation of Altuve. And Altuve said, well, that's fine. Marwin's a good player. He came in last night and finished off the game very well for me.
Altuve, who gets down the line so well, had already beat out an infield hit, getting that first inning started last night, but almost looked like this grabbed Jose after he had gotten to the bag.
It sure did. Maybe it was that last lunge. It's the right hamstring. And Bart Ennis has more. Bart?
Well, Brownie, the thing about Altuve is that they want to be very cautious with him because, as you guys both know, with hamstrings, if you bring a player back too quickly, then he can really pull it, really injure it, and instead of missing 2 games, it turns into 20 games that he's on the shelf. So the Astros being very cautious with Jose at this point. This is a guy that does not have a history of injury. In fact, as you said, Brownie, the trainers really aren't real sure who he is. He's never in the training room, never on the trainer's table. So they're going to be very cautious with him moving forward.
1 ball and 1 strike. The attempt not to use him today is something that was declared by A.J. Hinch to the media before the game. It's always tempting if the Astros would get back in this game and need a pinch hitter late. They might call on him, but A.J. hopes not to. Shot to left field. It might be getting closer. Smith is back at the base of the wall. Smith will reach up and leap for the catch. And in the second inning, it's no runs a hit, 2 men left. 5-0 Seattle.
This pitching performance is powered by Kubota. And we're talking about last night's star, Brett Oberholzer, who pitched 8 shutout innings and picking up a win against the M's, taking advantage of all the offense. But he used both sides of the plate well. His excellent changeup factored in. Got himself some ground balls. The double play started by Correa. But it was a strong night for Brett Oberholzer and a nice bright spot for the Astros pitching staff.
Yeah, he can really enjoy that for the next 4 days.
Yeah, you allow yourself a few moments to enjoy it and then start grinding toward the next one.
Kyle Seager's in the box. There's ball 1 from Colin McHugh. 5-0 Seattle. Seager hit the sac fly. Marisnik making a tremendous catch to prevent an extra base hit by Seager back in the 5-run first. And it's a 2-0 count for Colin McHugh.
I'm it. Come on now.
Flash foul by Seager. He got aggressive, as hitters like to do on a 2-0 count. Was a little bit out in front. Corpus Christi beat Midland last night 3-1. Joe Musgrove has really had an outstanding year. He's now at Corpus. That's his 3rd different level. He started out at Quad Cities, then he moved up to Lancaster. In the air and going for foul territory. 2 players. Rasmus going over and making the grab in front of the wall. He had to move around that corner in foul territory and pursue it a little bit deeper for out number 1.
Nice play by Colby. As you say, being able to look up at that ball on a high pop-up and avoid that portion of the wall, not easy. We've done some getting to know the ball players. That is Colby Rasmus showing he's gotten to know the ballpark.
Yeah. Mark Trumbo looks at ball 1. Trumbo singled to left center in the first inning. You ever play in a backyard somewhere where maybe there was a tree in left field or something like that? Where you didn't have the full dimensions. You had to
absolutely
run around an object of some kind like he just did.
I think any kid who's ever played the game has had that experience.
Yeah, maybe some hedges, a fire hydrant, something of that nature.
Those are the monuments at Yankee Stadium in center.
That's a ground ball single through the right side, and Trumbo is 2 for 2 in this game. Seven hits for the Mariners. Logan Morrison will be next.
Mark Trumbo maybe enabling himself a chance to breathe a bit. He has gotten off to a miserable start with Seattle. But sometimes the D taketh and sometimes giveth away.
Logan Morrison now has an 18-game hitting streak here at Minute Maid Park. He ripped the 3-run homer in the first inning. Here's ball 1. He has 24 hits and 68 at-bats here in his career. 3 homers, 11 runs batted in now. The second longest streak at Minute Maid Park by a visiting player. He shoots one high to right field and bids for his 2nd of the game, and that's another Logan Morrison home run. A 2-run shot this time, making it 7-0. Morrison now with number 8 of the season, has a 5 RBI day in the 3rd inning.
Well, it looked to be a case of Colin McHugh trying to come hard in, up on the hands, and Morrison able to cut off that swing just enough to get barreled to it. Let's see what we can see here. Yeah, it's that fastball, maybe even the cut version, up and in. Watch the lead arm, how it kind of cuts off. That elbow pulls toward the chest. And a perfect example of how you shorten the swing a bit to get the barrel to the ball when it's in.
Third career multi-homer game for Morrison, and now the next pitch is strike one to Miller. 7-0 lead for Seattle. Morrison has 5 of the 7 runs batted in. Miller hit a fly ball to center earlier. Strike there makes it 0-2. McHugh now has surrendered 12 home runs this season. About 80 innings of work. Joey Votto has a 23-game hitting streak at Minute Maid Park. That's the all-time best by an Astros opponent. It's 1-2 to Miller.
The curveball we just saw right there has likely been thrown less today than we've seen at times for Colin.
Third multi-homer game by a Mariner this season. Fouled away, still 1-2. The Corpus Christi Hooks winning the first half of their division of the Texas League, getting 7 innings of 1-run ball Friday night from Joe Musgrove in Midland, winning it 3-1. The Hooks are 41-18, and they have the best winning percentage in minor league baseball, .695. Bouncer, and to his right, Marwin Gonzalez. Tricky play, but he makes it with ease. 2 out.
10,000 fans will receive an Astros grilling apron. That's presented by Houston Methodist at the Mariners Astros game tomorrow afternoon. For more information, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Well, you and Blummer and Julia, she's making the trip, right? Next weekend to Seattle?
Yes.
You'll get a Mike Zunino grilling apron when you go to Seattle on Father's Day.
Could not be more tickled.
Ball 1 to Zunino. He hit a fly ball to right in the second. They had an hour and 34-minute rain delay in Midland last night before Joe Musgrove dialed up another beauty for Corpus Christi. How about that? Here we are, June 13th. And minor league teams have half seasons. So Corpus Christi has already clinched its division title in the first half in the Texas League, and the same for Quad Cities in the Midwest League.
Good effort right there by Colin. Little slider cutter, hard to differentiate at times, but just missing the edge.
It's 3-0 to Mike Zunino. No, that's ball 4. And Zunino heads for first on the second walk of the day. That'd be something if all the Astros teams won championships this year, minor and major league.
There you go. Now you're talking.
Has that ever been done?
Don't know.
Can't remember it.
Pretty phenomenal what the entire minor league system's been doing this year.
Seth Smith with a strikeout and a double, 1 for 2.
I think the 27 Yankees had a great minor league system.
No. In the dirt, that hit him, in fact. Smith takes his base, and now the inning gets more complicated with Austin Jackson coming up.
Big red machine of the mid-70s. Had an undefeated minor league system.
No, they had some pretty good teams, but nothing like that. Roberto Hernandez is warming up. He is the long man in relief now. McHugh has thrown 70 pitches. Brent Strom's coming out. You ever go on the Fangraphs.com website?
Yes, sure.
Fangraphs and some of the other websites project chances for the teams to make the playoffs. Those teams in first place right now, as the Astros are, their chances are what? Something like 55-60% this year. Is that what you've read or heard?
Somewhere in that ballpark, yes. I don't, we were talking about it in the open. I'd much rather be in that position than in last place looking at odds that made it look like you ought to just cash it in right now. But the thing about it, and we talked about it, is you've got to keep going out there and making it happen day by day, which is why athletes and managers, coaches talk about the day by day, inning by inning kind of scenario. And for Colin McHugh at this very moment, I'm sure he's thinking pitch by pitch. It just comes down to the next thing you're going to do. But for the Astros, they've done a great job putting themselves in a fine position. Now keep on winning.
Now Austin Jackson bats. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. There's a shot into center field. Zunino around third, coming to the plate. No throw from Marisnick. It's 8-0 Seattle. RBI single Jackson. His 9th run batted in.
No throw came from center field, but I'm very impressed with Jake Marisnick and a lot of the things he does. He charged this ball about as well as an outfielder can. Watch him come after the ball. I mean, full sprint. And he's going to pick it up and fire to the plate if he deems any possibility. And he can really throw, by the way. But that's what you want from outfielders. I think he just wasn't dead certain he picked up the baseball. He's a very fine outfielder.
8-0 now, and it's Robinson Cano batting. 8 runs on 9 hits for Seattle. Cano has a double and a walk. There's ball one. How do you think these websites calculate a team's chances to make the playoffs with 100 games to go in the season?
Well, you know, my initial thought was that maybe they factored in how the team's talent stacks up and how recent years have gone and likelihood of making a deal. But apparently we're told that it just comes down to that pure percentage based on where you are right now. If, for example, like the Astros find themselves waking up this morning 2.5 games in front of Texas, and I don't know what the formula would be, but you compare it to other teams that have been in the same spot and what the odds are that they get there. Is that the way you understand it?
I don't know what's involved, but I have to think that pi r squared figures into it somehow.
You think that's in the equation?
Yeah. Popped up, Correa back into shallow left center field, and back in for the catch. It's 3 runs on 3 hits for Seattle. A couple of men left, and the Mariners' lead grows to 8-0.
Last night, it's been all Mariners, 8-0. Well, get out of the office and see a ball game at Minute Maid Park with the Astros 9-inning lunch break coming up Tuesday, June 16th at 1:10 p.m. Purchase your tickets today by visiting Astros.com/lunchbreak or by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Bart. That's that day game Tuesday. It's getaway day for you guys, Ash, to go to Colorado.
I always hate the way you throw that little dig of you guys in there.
Well, let's see. Blummer will be coming from the other direction.
Yep. West Coast man.
Jason Castro leads it off in the home third. 8-0 Seattle. Ball 1 to Castro, who finds himself in the number 9 spot again. 215, 7 homers, 15 runs batted in. He hit a 2-run homer and drew a walk last night as the number 9 hitter. Rocks a line drive into right field. You mentioned it last night after he hit the homer. Don't hit too well in this number 9 spot.
Unless, of course, it's hard to say, because if you perform well in the 9 spot, people tend to look at all these stats today, and they can find that you look like you're much more comfortable as a 9 hitter. No, I'm not. I'm a whole lot angrier. It's a good swing by Jason again.
George Springer follows, and there's strike 1 to Springer. He singled to left field in the first inning.
I asked A.J. Hinch earlier this year where he thinks there's more pressure batting in the batting order, 3rd or 9th. And he glanced up at me with that look of somebody who knows, like I've had a chance to know. It's the 9 spot. You come in and you just hate seeing your name at the bottom of the list.
Okay. So he can relate. Jason was joking about it today. Towering fly ball, shallow right field. Cano back. 1 out. Yeah, Chris Carter, who batted 8th, was 2 for 3 with a homer last night. Castro, who batted 9th, had a 2-run homer and a walk. Castro said he and Carter looked at each other and said, well, what are we going to do until we come up the first time? They're not used to hitting that far down in the order.
Treat yourself like a DH. Go back and get some swings somewhere in the tunnel.
Carlos Correa struck out in the first inning. Rolls out to second, and Cano with a backhanded flip gets it to Miller. Miller on to first. 4-6-3 double play. After 3, 8-0 Mariners. The bullpen for the 4th inning brings in Roberto Hernandez, who was in the rotation, but now he's become the long man.
Tough spot to be in on a ball club. Nobody wants to see the long man in the game, and yet it's your only chance to be able to compete. And so now for Roberto Hernandez, it's kind of like a start. You got to go out there and perform well, extend the innings, provide the rest of the bullpen a chance to not be forced into action this afternoon. 11 starts already on the year.
And as he takes the ball, it'll be Cruz, Seager, and Trumbo facing him here in the 4th inning, with Seattle up 8-0. Astros have gotten a lot younger in that rotation. And Roberto, one of the older players on the team, now put in this long man's role with the injury to Samuel Deduno, who's on the disabled list. There's strike one. Colin McHugh in 3 innings allowed 9 hits, 8 earned runs, walking 2, fanning 1, hitting a batter, allowing 2 home runs. He threw 74 pitches. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Hernandez was the number 5 starter to open the season. This is his first outing since June 5th, 8 days ago in Toronto. He lost that game, giving up 5 earned runs, 6 total runs in 5 2/3 innings. There's a flare over first base toward the right field line. A long run for Chris Carter, and it's a foul ball to make the count 2-2. Difficult, as you mentioned, in many ways for a guy who's deposed as the starter. And now in long relief, where nothing can really be planned, he made 11 starts with that 2-5 record and a 5.18 ERA. The ERA somewhat deceiving because, well, he lost a 2-0 game with a quality start at the Angels' place. 2 earned runs in 7 2/3. He had 5 quality starts. Flare into shallow right field, and that one's a hit in front of Springer. So Cruz gets a lucky single after just hitting a foul ball out of the reach of Carter. He drops one in fair in front of Springer. He's 2 for 3.
Big smile. Everybody wants to act at times like, I don't want that. I didn't hit that well. Baloney. Right on the hands, and just that little pop-up that finds no man's land.
That's 10 hits for the Mariners. Kyle Seager's the batter. He has a sac fly and a foul out to the left fielder, Rasmus. Strike for Hernandez. So now Hernandez, with the situation of being a long man, not knowing how many days he's going to get between appearances as compared to a starting pitcher, working essentially every 5th day, planning everything for that next outing, knowing what teams and basically what hitters he'll be facing. Everything is in question now for his next appearance, whenever it might be. And yet teams do this all the time. Of course, every manager would love to have that kind of consistency, that predictability from all 5 in the starting rotation, but that is rarely the case on a major league club. There's a shot, and the overshift did not work in the Astros' favor. Seager just took it into left field. Cruz to second base, back-to-back singles. Balbuena had just moved further towards second base.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of, if you're going to shift on a guy, don't pitch away from the shift. And Seager really didn't have much option of doing anything but hitting this ball to left field, so he takes advantage.
That's a 2-strike single in number 11. Now Trumbo, he's 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored. Hernandez delivers ball 1. The media was asking A.J. Hinch about options for the rotation before the game today. Oberholzer pitching so well last night. And then Peacock working his way back, but apparently having a setback at AA Corpus Christi after his 2-inning start a few days ago. And then Scott Feldman could be due back in July. 1 ball, 1 strike, but A.J. told us about that setback for Peacock, who's going to be reevaluated here, as he mentioned. And with Feldman's return probably at least 5-6 weeks away, there doesn't seem to be anything imminent in terms of changing this starting rotation.
1 and maybe 2 tremendous acquisitions, if you will, for the Astros. Lance McCullers, who looks like he's just ready to run with a tremendous chance in his big league career. And then Vince Velasquez, who showed tremendous stuff in his lone start so far in the bigs.
Well, Hernandez is 34. Those two guys are 21 and 23, so that's gotten the rotation quite a bit younger. Obi's in his mid-20s. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Talk McCullers and Velasquez. You're talking about guys that can go 95 on 97 and maybe more. Velasquez reported to have hit 100 miles an hour in the minor leagues.
Come out looking. Trumbo is out, number 1.
Lance McCullers. Watch this guy. Doesn't take long, and you start getting the sense that he's just one of those kids that I don't know if you want to call it cocky or just confidence. And I think it's confidence to the max. McCullers believes, and he should with his stuff. He's got some big time stuff, and he thinks he can get anybody out. So far, it looks like he's right.
Logan Morrison has had quite a day already. Colors with very good numbers. Good stuff Monday in that loss to the White Sox. Morrison with 2 homers, 5 runs batted in. Takes strike 1. Apparently our buddy Steve Sparks over in the radio booth saw a shot of Morrison on the bench and thought that he was telling his teammates that he was reading some tipping of pitches by Colin McHugh. Rolled over foul, and it's 0-2.
Just like a pitcher. You know, Sparky's quite a student of the game, and if he says he saw that, I would just about assure you he did. Pitchers tend to watch opposing hitters quite a bit to see if there's anything that they're showing that says the pitcher going for your club is tipping something off.
Now 1-2 to Morrison. The Seattle club record for homers in a game is 4 by Mike Cameron. May 2nd, 0-2 against the White Sox. Son of Daz Cameron, who was drafted by the Astros. Bouncer goes foul. First base side. It's still 1-2 to Logan Morrison. Phillies manager Ryan Sandberg and reliever Ken Giles were involved in an altercation that got heated at times in the 1-0 loss to the Pirates last night. Apparently Giles did something to draw the ire of Sandberg, Phillies bench coach Larry Bowa, and pitching coach Bob McClure, after striking out Jordy Mercer with the bases loaded to end the 8th last night.
Seems like a time of jubilation.
Yeah. Didn't see any highlights on that, did you?
No.
2-2.
Ryan Sandberg seemed like a very level-headed guy as a player.
Mike Pelfrey has it going for the Twins. 7 homers for Mr. Stanton of the Marlins. Phillies have a -89 run differential. And LeMahieu's hitting .349 for the Rockies. They'll be here Monday night, Tuesday afternoon.
Mister, is that what you call somebody hitting a lot of home runs, or a guy that has more money than you will ever dream of?
Either of those would qualify for a Mister title. Ground ball, Marwin Gonzalez, backhanded flip, Carlos Correa gunning onto Carter. That's a 4-6-3 double play to win the top of the 4th inning. No runs, 2 hits and a man left, and the Astros turn a couple with Gonzo filling in for Jose Altuve, and Correa working well on this one. first major league win, and the Astros need to do a lot of hitting to get back in this one. Their number 3 hitters, for everybody who's hit third this year, have combined for a 186 batting average, 364 slugging percentage. And you can take a look at the other very good teams in baseball, all in nice positions going into the final 100 games or so of the season, how their number 3 hitters have fared.
Well, obviously, a lot of work for the Astros 3 spot to come up with. Every spot in an order is not necessarily successful for teams, but the 3 spot is one you count on.
And Gaddis is in that 3 spot today. It's a foul ball there, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. George Springer has been hitting third more than any other Astro. It's Lorenzo Cain for KC, Adrian Gonzalez, Joe Mauer, Lucas Duda, A-Rod, and Andrew McCutcheon for those various clubs.
It's kind of a premier talent kind of a spot in the batting order. Has been for a long time. Some teams like the Angels with Trout in the 2 spot are going there.
Seager gets Gaddis. This is the 6th time Gaddis has batted third. George Springer, the leader, with 26 times in that 3-hole. Valbuena 12, Preston Tucker 11, Jed Lowry's hit there, and Jose Altuve. It's been a rotating post for the Astros at that number 3 spot. Carter, who grounded out in the 2nd inning, comes up again. Yeah, Jed Lowry continues to be here at the ballpark, encouraging his teammates as he comes back from surgery on his right thumb. And we talked earlier about Scott Feldman perhaps returning in July, and that would also be the timetable for Jed Lowry. So people are speculating about trades right now for the Astros, with the trade deadline later on in July. And those 2 guys could be viewed as trade acquisitions if they come back healthy about that time of the season. 2-1. That's something that Jeff Luhnow really has to figure in the mix when he's contemplating making deals. That's into the seats.
I would consider the position of strength for the Astros to be young, legit, big-time talent. And I would be very cautious about parting with any of that. I think the Astros are so talented with the young guys that they could be just fine, potentially hanging with what they have. But we'll see what happens.
Carter with a broken bat looper gets a hit into right center field. 4-game hitting streak for Chris now. Hit number 4 for the Astros, 1 in each inning.
Yeah, this one finds the gap in the shift once again. It's been one of those days where hitters are kind of feasting up on those empty areas on the infield.
That bat really blew up.
Yeah, how many pieces came off that thing?
Whoa, 5 or 6 at least.
Man, it feels good to get a major league hit, doesn't it? Maybe not like that.
Colby Rasmus looks at ball 1 in the dirt. Colby doubled off the wall and left in the 2nd inning. Jeff Luhnow had an interesting quote today in the Houston Chronicle in an article written by Evan Drellick, talking about different phases that teams go through, even the best teams with losing streaks. The Astros just snapped a 7-game losing streak last night. Jeff Luhnow said in 2006, when the Cardinals won the World Series, they had 2 8-game losing streaks in the summer. He remembers how painful those were, but also he remembers that it's a marathon. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
7 and 8-game losing streaks are tough to deal with for any club. But he's right. Good teams go through rough patches.
Good scramble by Zunino to his left to block that one. 2-2. You and Blummer were talking a few nights ago about the 27 Yankees, right? Losing streaks.
I don't recall what the outcome of that conversation was.
Well, we looked it up, and they did have a 4-game losing streak. This one gets away from Zunino. Carter to second base on the wild pitch by Montgomery.
Yeah, that's hard to picture a team of that stature, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, kind of on that club, going through any kind of losing spell.
Their record in 1927 was 110-44.
Wow. So you play a 154 game schedule, win 110.
How ridiculous is that? 44 losses all year.
And that was considered a good team, huh?
Considered by many to be the best of all time, considering their run differential with their opponents and things of that nature. Rasmus draws the walk, and now 2-man on with Marisnick coming up. How about the 2001 Seattle Mariners, managed by Lou Piniella? 116-46, 716 winning percentage.
What'd they do in the postseason?
They didn't make it to the World Series.
It's just crazy what goes on.
Right. That's the real question. 2 walks now for Montgomery, and it's Marisnick who struck out in the second inning. Terry Poole is here today. It must be a big game. In the air, and here's Lomo chasing it into foul ground, and Cruz coming over, and that's uncatchable for those two.
Terry Poole looks like he could maybe don the uni and still hang out some shot somewhere and run for 3 bases.
He's been in the gym. Marisnick trying to get things rolling with his Houston offense, trailing 8-0. Fouls that one. No balls, 2 strikes. More on that conversation apparently between Ryne Sandberg and his staff and Giles, the relief pitcher. Ken Giles visibly agitated. He had been ordered to intentionally walk Pedro Alvarez with 2 outs and a runner on second base in that inning, and then he walked Francisco Cervelli and came back from a 3-0 count to strike out Jordy Mercer.
So he was unhappy about the fact that a run scored because he had been forced to walk a guy intentionally.
I don't think they scored a run, but he just didn't want to walk the guy.
I see.
In the dirt.
Kidding me, I can get that guy out.
2-2 to Marisnick. In the dirt, ball 3. You know, Terry Poole, for a long time, had the best fielding percentage for a career of any major league outfielder. We've watched Jake Marisnick play a very good center field this year, too.
Remember Terry Poole going and getting that ball in right center field on the Nolan Ryan no-hitter?
Reaching down about ankle high.
On the dead run.
Very good catch. Ground ball, and there's the play by Seager on to second, Cano to first. They get the force play, and that is brilliant to get 1 out on a ball hit there. Seager really spectacular.
Yeah, this is one of those plays that do or die, really. Watch Seager on the backhand side and then throw on the move. Now, that's really easy to make a poor throw there, but he set up Cano perfectly. Cano does such a great job always in allowing that bag to be kind of a protector for him. He'll move on different sides of the bag.
Colby Rasmus went in to try to disrupt things. Valbuena the batter. And it's ball 1. He walked in the second inning. Foul ball, 1-1. Terry Poole has talked about Bill Verdon and what a demanding outfield instructor he was.
He was demanding in a number of ways. Bill was probably the only manager I ever played for that had the guts, if you will, to tell every player on the team, you run hard to first base or whatever the scenario was, or you come out. And he didn't mean just the rookies. He meant every star on the ball club. And Bill intended to have guys play hard, and they did for Bill. Spring training was like preparation for, I don't know, some kind of Olympic running event.
Morrison with the ground out, 2 ended, no runs, 1 hit, 2 men left for the Astros, and after 4, 8-0 Seattle. Talking about him, and now we want to talk once again about that play and get his comments on it during the Nolan Ryan no-hitter. Mike Scioscia blistered one,
in the gap in right center. Looked like it was destined to drop for a hit, but not after Terry Poole got to it. And then that hanging curveball grounded to AT HOU, who makes the throw on. And Nolan Ryan picks up his 5th ever no-hitter, breaking the record by Sandy Koufax, a guy I had grown up watching a couple of his no-hitters in person, and it was quite surreal to be on that field that day.
That's some kind of pressure out there, Terry, with a no-hitter going.
Well, the biggest part of that was September, and it was a game of the week, and so it was 1-0, but it was a pennant race, and so you're thinking, do you go for something or do you? Obviously, and then we scored 4, I believe, in the 8th, and so it was a lot less pressure in the 9th. You knew you were going after anything for Nolan.
Yeah. What a great time.
I think at every time of that year, the first 5 innings of the game were no hit by Nolan.
How many times did you come back to the bench after 1, 2, or 3 innings and somebody or some people would say, he's going to get one today, isn't he? You know, because you'd see that early stuff and hitters looking like they had no chance, and it was just so impressive, just simply to play with the guy.
It's almost the way Keuchel pitches now. He goes out there, and I've been watching, and nobody hits the ball hard. Nobody hits the ball hard consistently off him, and that's a completely different style of pitcher.
Terry Poole is a guy who, once upon a time, had 2 home runs on opening day. What does that feel like as you head toward the next 161?
That's actually a trivia question, because in 1978, 2 roommates of the Astros, which I'll give you the answer, is Craig Reynolds and Kerry Poole, both led the American League and National League in home runs at the same time. He hit the opening day home run playing with Seattle that year, and I didn't know who the guy was at that time, but we did. At one time of our careers, led both leagues.
You got to know him pretty well down through the years, and you guys were inseparable.
Craig is a good friend and was just a great teammate. All-star shortstop in both leagues, and then get your position taken on you by a Dickie Thong.
Yeah. That's a blow. Well, the opening day home run was off Tom Seaver in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, you got to save them for the good names.
You were leading off the game?
I was.
What a way to start the season.
Yeah, Sparky Anderson said something about, they all get lucky once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Boy, ouch. It still went out.
Yes, it did. Lucky, a home run off Tom Seaver. That's lucky.
Well, if you remember that the game J.R. Richard was against Tom Seaver, they billed it as the next great pitching matchup. The final score was 11-9.
That's right.
Well, it's kind of like the Felix Hernandez outing last night for Seattle.
That's why it's crazy. I was talking to we're coming off the losing streak coming into town, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, you got to face Felix. And if we can get by the first one, you might have a good chance to put something together. And Astros went crazy.
Rasmus picks up the one-hop liner for a single for Smith. Smith is on for the third straight time. As you've watched the Astros outfielders this year, and we've seen Springer play a strong right field, Maristic has played a lot of great center field, Rasmus has been in center and left and various combinations. What do you think of this trio that's out there right now defensively, Terry?
Defensively, we've upgraded 100% the last 2-3 years here, and it's really fun to watch them run down some balls. Every one of them is capable of playing center field, and that's obviously a big step up in the right direction. And now we're pretty strong. Well, obviously got to get Altuve back in the lineup, but up the gut, it's pretty tough.
Early impressions of Carlos Correa.
Well, that's the quickest swing. His first home run, I watched it on TV. The way the bat came through the strike zone, I went, whoa. We don't see hands go through the strike zone that fast that often. And it's got great size. Just got to stay healthy. That's I think all he's has to do. He's going to be a good one.
I was looking back at players who had worn uniform number 1 for the Astros. Had some managers and coaches wear the number 1, and nobody really prominent has worn that number, but Bert Pena wore it. Teammate of yours back in the day.
Yeah. Bert was a shortstop also.
Yeah. Casey Candell wore the number 1.
He wore less than that too.
Terry, thanks for joining us.
Great. Good to be with you guys.
Good to see you, T.
Hey, nothing.
It's 8-0. Hey, Father's Day is coming up. Celebrate early by bringing Dad to the ballpark this Monday and Tuesday with the Astros special Father's Day ticket promotion. Select seats will be offered at a reduced rate of $20 per ticket. For more information, go to Astros.com/Father's Day or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Hard to believe it's already Father's Day, guys.
Crazy. Didn't that get here quickly? There's a backhanded play by Seager. Throws across to get Marwin Gonzalez. He's made a couple of those backhanded plays near the line there in this game today.
Marwin's had the barrel out a couple of times today. Came a little shy on a bid for a home run to left field earlier in the ball game. Quick bat. But yeah, Kyle Seager showing why he's already a Gold Glove winner at a young age.
Jason Castro lined a single to right, first time up. There's ball one to Jason. Jason was talking before the game about the difference in coming to the ballpark for this team as compared to a couple of years ago. Night and day. 2-0. You know, the players were as professional as they could be when they were losing 111 games a couple of years ago. But it was very difficult, and he said another part of it was the games seemed to take longer then. And, you know, the Astros were blown out of a lot of games, pitching changes, what have you. But now he said, well, for one thing, the speed-up measures have helped. But obviously the team's record brings a whole new attitude for the ballplayers when they get to the park.
Better baseball tends to get played more quickly. And I hope the Astros have a lot of even more quickly paced games in the future.
Rangers are bashing the Twins. There's a shot to left center field. Jackson with a long run, looking up. That one bangs off the wall. Castro into second base, and he will check in there with a double. Nearly hit it out. And Castro rocked that one for his 8th two-base hit of the year.
No, that was a really good looking at bat. Not just the swing, but I was watching Jason take the curveball that wound up and in. And the way he kept that front shoulder in and even turned back toward the catcher. I thought, wow, he's in a great position to be able to hit. And when it's all said and done, this nice quick swing against the left-handed pitcher. That's about as solid as Castro's been all year. Not to say he hasn't been there numerous times, but that was very good. And nice placement as well.
Stopped right there at the bottom of the wall now, George Springer. And the appeal went to first. He's called for a swing. There's strike one on the Paul Nauert call. Springer's 1 for 2. And Mike Pelfrey brought a good streak of pitching into that game for the Twins today, but the Rangers bombed him for 11 hits and 8 runs. Now Castro heads for third base, and Zunino will not make a throw. He took off on the wild pitch, and he had to make a very quick and decisive decision in order to make it. Looked as if Zunino might have had a shot.
If you're going to go, you go instantly and then just keep it going. Let's see how Jason reacts here. Yeah, that's good jump. Really good base runners have a tendency of watching the pitch in the air, and they can see and anticipate what it's going to be in the dirt.
A shot to right field. Cruz back. Over his head and bouncing over in right field for a double for Springer. The Astros are on the board as Springer makes it back-to-back doubles. That's his 14th of the year. 21 runs batted in for Springer.
Okay, so we were talking about it earlier in the ball game, but George Springer, much of his recent success has come hitting the ball to right and to center field. This with a little more authority, and that's great to see because George has the power to hit the ball out of any part of any ballpark. Good, strong swing. That's the George Springer you want to see more and more of.
He continues to excel in the leadoff spot. He's now in the top 10 in doubles. Number 14, Rick Waits, the pitching coach, made a visit to Montgomery. Carlos Correa is 0 for 2, a strikeout and a double play ball. He has hit in all 4 of his major league games so far. Last year he suffered a terrible injury to his right leg. A broken tibia, and he has a metal plate with 7 screws in that right leg after that surgery last year, but he said the leg has felt great all year.
A couple very contrasting at-bats today for Carlos Correa. Took a couple of strikes early in his first at-bat, eventually struck out. Next AB swung at the first pitch and grounded out, so you wonder what's running through his mind here for at-bat number 3.
2-0 for Montgomery. Montgomery trying for his first major league win, is 25 years old. This could be his third straight quality start in as many attempts as a major leaguer.
Another good swing there by Carlos Correa. Got a pitch a little on the inner portion of the plate and a good hack. It's a barrel of the bat to the catcher's mask and quickly saying, sorry, buddy.
Ground ball goes over. Gary Pettis, the approach at third, and it's 2-2. Mariners made a roster move today. They called up a pitcher from the minors, Danny Farquhar. Ricky Weeks is no longer a Mariner. 3-2. They needed a fresh arm because the last couple of games their starter hasn't lasted very long. Montgomery's helping the effort so far, but if the Astros can really continue something big here in the fifth inning, that will force a bullpen move. Correa takes his first major league walk. Walk number 3 for Montgomery. So he's getting all these firsts out of the way early and quickly, Ash.
And every one of the firsts and everything in between just looks like a guy. There's no way you'd say, hey, this is a nervous 20-year-old kid. He just is impressive with everything he does.
Evan Gattis is lined into a double play with a runner moving on the pitch, and he's grounded to third. Chris Carter on deck. And there's a foul, strike one. The Rangers leading the Twins in the bottom of the sixth, 11-3. They're trying to cut into the Astros' 2.5 game lead over them. Rangers have been certainly one of the biggest surprise stories in Major League Baseball at 32-29, especially considering the pitchers they have lost to injury. The newcomer Danny Farquhar is warming up for Seattle now. 0-2. He's not new to the Mariners, but he's just called up from the minor leagues in that player exchange we talked about. Mariners are well aware of the Astros' prowess in the late innings. The Astros lead the majors in homers, but they also lead in runs from the 7th inning on with 104. Gattis is down on strikes. Number 3 for Montgomery.
We mentioned early on that the changeup is a big weapon for Montgomery, and he gets the punch out there with the change.
Chris Carter bats. He grounded to first in the second. He singled to right center in the fourth on a broken bat. In that Ranger lead over Minnesota, Pelfrey exiting after 3 2/3 innings, giving up 8 earned runs. Colby Lewis is the Ranger pitcher. Miller with the toss to second gets the force on Correa. And the Astros settle for 1 run, 2 hits, and leave 2. It's 8-1 after 5, Seattle. Root Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Fans moving around, getting something to eat or drink, and perhaps a little exercise. As the score is 8-1 moving to the 6th inning.
Get your Carlos Correa jersey early.
Well, some people have been doing that from what we're hearing. Those are big sellers. There's ball one. Robinson Cano had a double in the 5-run first. Then he walked and he popped the short. A little roller goes to first base for Carter. And that's an easy out, number one, for Hernandez, who's beginning his 3rd inning in relief of Colin McHugh. Rangers have home runs from Mitch Moreland, number 8, Joey Gallo, number 3. In their big ball game, 11-3, Texas leading in the bottom of the 6th with Minnesota. Cruz, the former Ranger, has 2 hits and an RBI in this one. Cruz had signed a 1-year deal with Baltimore last year. There's strike one. Seattle had been in the running to acquire him as a free agent, but a year later able to come up with enough to secure the services of Mr. Cruz. And of course, he was somewhat tainted after that suspension. 1 ball, 1 strike. He had a 50-game suspension while with the Rangers in 2013. He was caught on a test, but last year he rebounded to lead the league in homers with 40. 1 ball, 1 strike. Baltimore is missing that bat in its lineup.
Well, that's a big bat that obviously would be missed. They also have no more Nick Markakis in right field. They've had an injured J.J. Hardy at shortstop.
1-2. Now Miguel Gonzalez has gone on the disabled list. It's been a troublesome year for the Birds. That's tap foul. Buck Showalter was asked the other day about making that deal with Boston last year, giving up the young lefty Eduardo Rodriguez, who's pitching so well now for Boston. He said, oh, we knew exactly what we were giving up, but we wanted to try to win, and we wanted to get Andrew Miller to put in the back of our bullpen. So we sacrificed a very good young prospect for him.
Tough thing to do.
Well, that's what a lot of teams will be considering here in the next 6 weeks or so, whether to make deals of that nature. Give up prospects for proven players who, some of whom may only help them for a couple of months. Foul ball. For instance, the rumor mill has it on Johnny Cueto with the Reds, who's headed for free agency. There are 5 teams rumored to be in the running for him: Toronto, Boston, the Dodgers, Texas, and San Diego.
It's all about what you have to give up.
Struck him out. Number 3.
Make memories with family-friendly activities every Sunday. Home game presented by Kroger. The next Sunday home game of the season is tomorrow when the Astros take on these Mariners. For more information, visit astros.com/Sundays or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Lance McCullers and Roenis Elias tomorrow at 1:10.
You know, the one time for me, and this is not an exhaustive recall for me, but the one time where it made sense and still does today is the Astros in 1998 getting Randy Johnson for 2 really good prospects and a 3rd player thrown in. Players that became talented major leaguers. But I thought that bid and the opportunity to get Randy Johnson was one that you just don't see. But he wasn't the run-of-the-mill kind of veteran that steps in and tries to help you. He was the exceptional veteran.
1-1 to Seager. Carlos Guillen, Freddie Garcia involved in that deal. There was some big-time talent traded to Seattle, and Jerry Hunsaker, like Buck Showalter was saying, knew exactly that the Astros would be giving up talented players who could really come back to haunt them for years to come, but felt it was worth it to make that kind of a move. Jerry was not worried about making the playoffs. He wanted to win the playoffs that year by getting the big unit. 2-2 to Seager.
And I thought the Astros were the favorite until Kevin Brown just came. Well, it's not like he came alive, but he got even better than the great Kevin Brown that we were all accustomed to.
Yeah, he was near his peak at that time, if not at it. Inside for ball 3, and it's a full count. Roberto Hernandez doing a nice job here. He's worked 2 2/3. Has not given up a run in relief today. Pirates lead the Phillies 4-2. They're in the bottom of the 6th at PNC Park with Garrett Cole on the mound. Cole has a 1.71 ERA this year. Grounded to first. Carter's there. Tossing to Hernandez, who has a 3rd straight scoreless inning. 8-1 Seattle.
To the 6th. Hey, follow the Astros all season with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Another really nice crowd today, guys. They're on the edge of their seats just waiting for something to cheer about. That first inning was such a downer. But, I had a chance to talk to both Colby Rasmus and A.J. Hinch before the game today about the crowd last night and the energy going through the crowd. Of course, they were here to see Carlos Correa. There's a lot of excitement about this young man, but the team sort of fed off of that, and they were really aggressive against Felix Hernandez in that first inning. That's an understatement. But they got rolling. The crowd got rolling, and Rasmus swore to me, he said, it makes a huge difference. He said, I've played in ballparks, some of the smaller parks, open-air parks. You can't really get a feel for if there's a big crowd, small crowd, loud crowd with a lot of energy or whatever. But in this place, with the roof closed, he said when the crowd is like that, the players feel it and they feed off of it. And A.J. Hinch concurred with that. He said the guys were just having a blast in the dugout because everybody was into the game. So they're hoping now that school's letting out and the summer crowds are going to be bigger and Correa is going to make an impact on this team. They're going to see more crowds like this because it makes a difference.
Thanks, Bart. 3-1 to Colby Rasmus. Colby has doubled and he's walked. And now 3-2. And if he can start something here, that might get this crowd into it. There'll be a concert after the game by Mercy Me. The Astros, though, would like to have some more excitement before then. He's foul back, still a full count, and Rasmus, who's had 2 good trips to the plate, can help with that against Montgomery, who's shooting for his first major league win. Marisnick will follow, then Valbuena due up as it's foul back. Justin Verlander has returned to the Tigers rotation today. The Tigers lead the Indians 3-2. They're in the top of the 6th at Detroit. Verlander went 5, giving up 2 runs, including a Carlos Santana homer, his 7th of the year. Carlos Carrasco's pitching for Cleveland. There's a line shot to right field, but right into Cruz's glove, a well hit out number 1. Once again, Colby has a good trip into the batter's box.
You love having that kind of quality of an at-bat, but you just hate when you hit a ball that well and it's an out.
Marisnick has struck out and bounced into a force play. Hit the ball pretty well, but Seager turned his magic with a glove on him. Jake with ball 1. Seager's made a couple of fine plays to his right in this game. 2-0. Nationals 7, Brewers 2. They're in the bottom of the 6th in Milwaukee. Ground ball to Seager. Off the mitt of Morrison. He tried to stretch and catch that throw, and he couldn't stretch quite far enough to make the play. Throw was not really on target.
Kyle Seager has a tendency of making a lot of his throws on the run when not necessary, and it can lead to this kind of almost too casual mistake.
The error goes to Seager, his 6th of the year. He did have time to set up a little bit more for that throw. Outside, ball 1 to Valbuena. Valbuena's 0 for 1 with a walk. So the Astros have a little opening here. Gonzalez on deck. They've been out hit 12-6 today. Each club with 6 men left on base. Fouled, and it's 1-1. Mets lead the Braves 2-1. They're in the bottom of the 7th at Citi Field in New York. Danny Farquhar once again is warming up for Seattle. Jacob deGrom's on the mound today for the Mets. Shelby Miller started and pitched well for the Braves. 1-2. Freddie Freeman hit his 12th home run for Atlanta. Mark Socia got thrown out of the Angels game last night. He had used his one challenge and had been unsuccessful. Wanted the umpires to review another play in the late innings, and they threw him out when they wouldn't do it, and he got mad. 2-2.
I think Mike actually has a point. It goes against the rules right now, but I think that there might be some tweaking still to be done about the review system.
Well, Buena is a punch-out victim. That's number 4 for Montgomery. And Marwin Gonzalez 0 for 2.
Changeup again. You keep seeing those kind of reach out and feeling swings, and it's the changeup. He's got a good one. Saw a lot of that last night with Brett Oberholzer.
Jason Castro's on deck. Marwin takes it, and it's ball 1. Marwin's hit .256 as a right-handed batter this season coming into this game. Up the middle, Miller slides. Backhanded flip to Cano for the force out on Marisnick. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left. That fine 6-4 play ends the 6th inning with Seattle in front 8-1.
pitch now is presented by Steel Dealers. Roberto Hernandez came on in relief this afternoon. It was back in the fourth inning. He was facing Mark Trumbull, fell behind, and then spotted the inside corner, found the outside edge, evened the count with that pitch in the dirt, and then spots it again, outside corner. Very solid work there by Roberto. Both sides of the plate. That makes life really tough on the hitter.
Ah, root sign. Very nicely done.
There you go. Little confirmation we're actually existing.
Mark Trumbo takes, and there is strike one. Roberto Hernandez has worked 3 shutout relief innings. Trumbo has 2 hits and 2 runs scored today. We're certainly glad to be on Root Sports this year. It's been fun. We have most of the same crew we've had for years. Great camera people, producers, directors.
A lot more friends are showing up now at the yard, though.
Yeah.
And hopefully at home, watching the ball games, staying in touch with the Astros club.
It must be a really big game because Catherine Ashby is here.
She comes to all the games.
1 and 2. We've enjoyed the Root Sports relationship, and especially the equipment. That Super Mo that we've been watching so much to determine how the replay reviews are going to go. We can really slow down a play in the truck, look at it almost frame by frame. And the wireless cameras allowing Bart and Julia to roam all over the ballpark and do interviews and reports. A strikeout for Hernandez. That's number 4.
Another strikeout via the changeup this afternoon.
There's that wireless camera. No cable required anymore.
Let's slow one down here, Brownie. Come on.
Yeah, really slow.
There we go. It's really great stuff. You can pick up so many things in watching, and what you could see there for certain, Mark Trumbull was a little early for that changeup.
Logan Morrison has 2 homers and 5 runs batted in. There's strike 1. Lomo. Cardinals lead the Royals 3-2 in interleague play. They're in the middle of the 6th in St. Louis. Mark Reynolds hit his 4th home run. He hit it off Jeremy Guthrie. Alex Gordon hit number 8. Salvador Perez number 10. Out to right center field. Marisnik over. 2 outs. Very good job today by Roberto Hernandez.
Really is that. And again, a tough assignment. You come in when nobody wants to be a part of an 8-0 ball game, but come in, you do a nice job, you save your bullpen, you potentially give your team a chance to battle back in it.
Roberto's been primarily a starter in his career. He has more than 200 major league starts, almost 50 relief appearances. Brad Miller's the batter. He's 0 for 3. Ball 1 to Miller. $36,762 the paid attendance for this game. That's the 2nd largest crowd this season, second only to opening day at Minute Maid Park.
And surpassing last night, that says maybe interest continues to grow.
Yeah, that speaks pretty loudly to that point. Line shot to right field. Springer will go back and play it off the wall. Here's Miller headed for second base. Springer with the throw into Marwin Gonzalez. He lets it go on through. And it's a double by Miller, number 9 of the year.
Let's get out right here. Come on.
It's 13 hits for the Mariners. They have really come out of a funk. They had gone 13 games in a row scoring 3 runs or less. And that was the longest streak for any major league club since the 1981 Braves. And they broke out of that in the previous series against Cleveland on the road before coming here. But then after scoring some runs in the first 2 games to win them in Cleveland, they were shut out in the final game of that series Thursday. Shut out again last night. So they hadn't scored in the last 2 games, and then hung a 5 spot on the Astros in the first inning of this one. Zunino's 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. One and one. Well, the Cardinals are amazing, aren't they? They're 40-21. Now Lance Lynn is on the disabled list. A few days ago, Matt Holliday went on the DL. Much earlier, Adam Wainwright, and they're still just moving along and mowing down the opponents.
With those injuries, though, they're going to hit some the speed bumps, I would think, anyway, coming up. But what a great organization they have been.
Nice size lead, 6.5 on the Pirates. The Reds might be going into sell mode on Johnny Cueto here in July. There's an off-speed pitch for strike 2 to Zunino. Marlins lead the Rockies 4-1 in Miami. Rockies will be here Monday night. Matt Latos has struck out 11 Rockies in 7 innings. Orbit with a rare bit of relaxation. Hardly ever see Orbit sitting still.
Still smiling, though. Anticipating some Astros offense.
Just back from Kazakhstan. And he struck him out. That's number 5 of the day for Hernandez, and 4 sparkling innings of relief. It's 8-1 Mariners.
Progressive fans of the game. Coming to you right above the Astros bullpen here, where we've got a group of 5, 6 celebrating a birthday, right here. But they're the fans of the game because they were doing everything they could the last inning to get a wave going. So, Mike, you got to be the spokesman for this group. What's the hardest thing about convincing your fellow fans to do the wave here?
What was the hardest thing about getting under?
They wouldn't get up. That's hard. But the effort was there for this group. So you guys are our collective progressive fans of the game. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so let's try it again. With the cameras rolling, pressure on. Are you guys ready? Do your thing. Do your thing. Here we go. Oh, man. All right, guys, as I toss it back to you, I'm going to have to go to this section over here and cause some trouble. So if I'm not back for the post-game report, you'll know something happened.
We'll know where to send out a search party. Thank you, Bart. There's ball 1 as Danny Farquhar's in the game facing Jason Castro. And he throws ball 2. Farquhar just rejoined the Mariners today, back up from the minor leagues. Castro is 2 for 2, a single and a double. He scored the Astros run on a 5th inning Springer double. Swings at that one for a 2-1 count. Mike Montgomery in 6 innings allowed 6 hits, 1 run, walking 3, fanning 4, throwing 98 pitches, 57 of them strikes. and he has qualified for his first major league win, leading 8-1. Now turning it over to the bullpen. He got 2 double plays, one on a line drive on a hit and run play, the other a ground ball. Farquhar in 20 games with the Mariners, 0-3 with a 6.46 ERA. Throws a ball to fall behind, 3-1. Mariner bullpen is 6-15. At Tacoma, Farquhar was 1-0.
6.75 ERA though.
That's a leadoff walk. Not exactly what Lloyd McClendon had hoped for when selecting Farquhar. Last 3 games, 9 pitchers have worked 15 1/3 innings for Seattle.
Yeah, their real issue has been their offense. They have not been good.
They went through 4 relievers and a catcher last night. Jesus Sucre pitched. It's their backup catcher.
Showed good stuff. He has a chance to be their closer, I would think.
George Springer with ball 1 moves back. Springer has a single and a run producing double.
I don't know if we caught it. He hit 88 miles an hour his final pitch last night.
Didn't see that. It's impressive. Double play ball here. Miller. Low toss. Cano. No problem. On to Morrison. 6-4-3 double play.
And now our pitch by pitch presented by Steel Dealers. We'll look back at Carlos Correa. Why not? He's had really impressive looking plate appearances. This is going to result in a walk as he takes a fairly close pitch. And again, did you notice that he just stays on the baseball, head stays in there? Carlos Correa does a lot of things very well, and it sets him up to have great success.
Now on the breaking pitch, it's strike 1. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. If he gets a hit, he's hit in all 5 major league games he's played. Oh, and 2. Chad Qualls is getting loose for Houston. Strike 3 call. And in the 7th inning, it's no runs, no hits. We move to the 8th inning. 8-1 Seattle.
This moment in history is brought to you by M.D. Anderson. June 13th of 2009, it was a big day for the Astros as Lance Berkman hit the 300th home run of his career, and Miguel Tejada picked up his 2000th hit. That all in a 6-4 win at Chase Field in Arizona. Don't see a pair of career numbers like that happen in the same ball game very often, but how about Lance Berkman? One of the greats.
Chad Qualls in 23 games is 1-3, 4 saves and 6 opportunities, a 5.31 ERA. Rather alarming because it's been ballooning the last few appearances, Ash.
Yeah, he's had a hard time. He's classically a sinker slider pitcher. Those pitches have been up and they've been getting hit rather hard.
He did not retire a batter 4 days ago in Chicago, the last time he pitched. Seth Smith with a ground ball. The shift is on. Correa to his left. I'll pitch one out there for Chad Qualls. Roberto Hernandez was really good. 4 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. 63 pitches, 40 strikes. Qualls has given up runs in each of his last 3 outings. He gave up a home run here to the White Sox May 29th. He came in with a 3-2 lead in the 8th inning, and Gordon Beckham's homer tied it. Then in a 2-2 game here against Baltimore June 4th, an Adam Jones homer gave Baltimore the lead and tagged Qualls with the loss. We mentioned last time out against the White Sox, he did not retire a batter, giving up 3 hits, 2 runs. So a chance for him to get out of that spotlight in that pressure situation and work on some things today. And it's 1-0 on Jackson, who's 2 for 4 with an RBI. It seemed to be inevitable with the way all the relievers were so hot for so long that a few would be cooling off at the same time, and indeed that has happened. Astros relievers had an 8.36 ERA on the road trip, giving up 13 earned runs in 14 innings. Still have the second best ERA in the American League at 2.84 for the entire bullpen. 2-1. So Chad Qualls remains a very important guy in the scheme of things for late innings for Houston.
You know, as good as the Texas Rangers have been this year, their bullpen is second worst.
Interesting. Correa makes the play. 2 down. He's such an easy arm, if you know what I'm saying, with the throwing motion, and the ball just jumps over to first base.
Absolutely true. Noticed on the double play earlier in the ball game that he came up over the top somewhat and had a lot on the throw. Got his double play very easily, but he's got a tendency of throwing from the top. Nothing wrong with that, and he does it well.
Backed up on that ball and had all kinds of arm. Robbie Cano doubled in the 5-run first. He also has walked today, going 1 for 3. White Sox and Rays are tied 4-4 in the bottom of the 8th in St. Petersburg. That's ball 1.
Take another peek at what Carlos does. He sets his feet really well. Backs up on a ball that can give you a tough time, but he's got very good footwork. Now that's kind of that nice 3/4 throw.
2-0. Qualls has been getting hurt because his sinker and slider haven't had that downward movement. Sometimes with a sinker ball and a slider type pitcher, they can try to make it move a little bit too much. It flattens out, or perhaps it's a case of not having enough appearances. Their arm isn't tired enough to get that natural sinking action, and it just flattens out upstairs in the zone. And that could be big trouble for a sinker ball guy.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you're not getting enough work, sometimes to the point of being a bit tired, it can harm a sinker slider guy.
In for a strike, 3-1. It's a good idea for a manager to take a relief pitcher who's been struggling in a sense out of those pressure situations. And if a game like this comes along, not a bad time to pull him out of the bullpen onto the mound for some work, restore some confidence. Three and 2 now. Chris Archer started for Tampa Bay today, giving up 3 earned runs in 7 innings. Tampa Bay youthful rotation, just really terrific this year. Little tap, fielded by Qualls, and tossed to Carter. That counts for a 1-2-3 ground ball out. 8th inning for Chad. 8-1 Seattle.
Youth baseball and softball programs tomorrow afternoon. Donate new or slightly used equipment at Minute Maid Park. 600 fans who donate will receive a voucher for a Joe Morgan swing trainer. You need one of those.
Yeah. Is that golf or tennis? Evan Gattis fouls it back. Strike one. He's 0 for 3.
At this stage, baseball's kind of out of the question for us.
Bottom of the 8th inning, it's 8-1. 13 hits for Seattle, 6 for Houston. Each club has left 7. Seattle's made the only error. It's a shot and backhanded. A diving stop by Miller. Miller throws to Morrison, and that's a fine play for out number 1.
Miller's got a really good arm at shortstop and can use it at will. As he comes up here with Gattis going down the line, he just kind of takes it easy, but throws a strike onto first base.
Chris Carter is 1 for 3. Luke Gregerson's warming up for Houston. And it's ball 1 for Farquhar, working his second inning in relief of Montgomery. Montgomery shooting for his first major league win. Rasmus is on deck. 1-1. The Rangers and Twins are now in a delay. In the top of the 7th inning, it's 11-3 Rangers. Vidal Nuno, a lefty, is warming up for Seattle right now. Inside for a ball. That makes it 2-1. And the Twins have just called up Byron Buxton, the talented outfielder from the minor leagues.
Kids are starting to arrive, aren't they?
They are arriving. Carter with strike 2, 2-2. Correa and Buxton have been mentioned in the same breath for about 3 years now. Three balls, 2 strikes. It'll be interesting to see if the Twins can hang in there after their lofty beginning this year. Carter takes a 1-out walk. That's number 2 for Farquhar. Number 5 for Seattle pitching today. Twins are 33-27. They're in a highly competitive AL Central. Colby Rasmus has really looked good at the plate today. Opposite field double, a walk, a line out to right field. That's ball 1. The Twins began the day 2 games behind Kansas City. Detroit is 3.5 back. Chicago trails by 6.5, and Cleveland, only 4 games under 500, is in arrears 7 games. Twins have lost 4 in a row, though, and some feel they could be headed back down to earth with a thud. Asmus takes a look at another ball. It's 2-0 to Colby.
You know, if Joe Mauer were still the same offensive player that could carry a ball club, I would think they'd have a better chance than right now, I believe.
True. 2-1. Two balls, 2 strikes to Colby. Monday night, it's Dallas Keuchel and Chad Bettis with the Rockies series beginning here at 7:10. Royals with that 2-game lead. It's closely bunched in the AL Central. Strike 3 called, 2 outs. Second strikeout for Farquhar. Now Marisnik.
Not sure this catches the corner. And I think Colby had that look of, you're kidding me, right?
Farquhar has taken his lumps against the Astros this year. They handed him a loss in Seattle. He got a blown save the next day in Seattle. He throws a strike to Marisnik, is 0 for 3. Danny, 28 years old. He pitched 66 times for the Mariners last year. Fly ball left. Seth Smith in for the play to end the 8th inning. We move to the 9th, 8-1. Seattle. Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. Try the new Double Jack today only at Jack in the Box. Orbit before the game likes to engage in some hijinks with members of the other team.
Is this the fish toss like in Seattle?
I think that's exactly what it is, Ash.
Is that Pike's Market, I want to say?
Yeah, I think it is Pike's Market.
Orbit's coming up a little shy. Nice job there, though.
Logan Morrison is watching very carefully. Let's see if he somehow gets involved here with Orbit. No, he doesn't. And Luke Gregerson is going to pitch the 9th inning. It's 2-1 with a 4.5 ERA. And like Chad Qualls has fallen upon some difficult times lately. He got a blown save and a loss in Toronto, giving up 3 earned runs in 1/3 of an inning.
And you might say, why Gregerson in this game? Sometimes there's simply a need to pitch, and I think that's the case for Luke.
He's not pitched in a week. Nelson Cruz gets it going. He's 2 for 4 with an RBI today. And yet, despite his excellent numbers, he is not leading in the All-Star balloting at DH. That's because Kansas City's Kendrys Morales is in the lead. 2 hopper to third. Valbuena. Pitch Here about number 1. Chad Paul's had a 1-2-3 8th inning. Now Kyle Seager comes up. Yeah, there are some things with that all-star balloting that require a whole lot of scrutiny if the vote totals that are now in existence hold up. Kyle Seager has a hit and a sac fly.
Yeah, I think we'll see something change by next year.
Boy, that's this one. 7 Kansas City players are in line to start that game. Something's not right. That's a strike.
Sometimes when the players vote, you may get it right, but you also get at times popularity contests with the guys, and therefore I'm not sure exactly what the right method is.
If that were to hold up and 7 Kansas City players were to start the game, I believe the all-star manager of the American League Club, the only fair thing to do would be to pull those guys as soon as possible.
Yeah, but again, Major League Baseball has to assess. I don't think fans will ever have the vote taken from them. I just don't think they'll have 100% of who gets to start in the game.
Right. That's not to say that there aren't deserving Kansas City players. But let's talk about the guys who should not, in the opinion of some, be starting that game. It is a matter of opinion. Some people vote more on overall career than this season. Carter with a toss to Gregerson, but it is the 2015 All-Star game.
Our big hit of the game involves Logan Morrison. Lomo hit a couple of early home runs in this game. He's a big reason Seattle has this 8-1 lead. That one right on the hands there as Colin McHugh tried to come in with the heater, but a little more heat coming off the bat of Lomo. Get one guy hot, and hot like that with the home run bat makes all the difference in the world.
Mark Trumbo is 2 for 4. Foul back for strike 1. Chad Qualls did not need very many pitches to have his 1-2-3 8th inning. And the idea would be for that same type of inning for Gregerson to keep him fresh for tomorrow. 1:10 start tomorrow. Lance McCullers and Roenis Elias. In for a strike, 0-2. Monday night, Dallas Keuchel and Chad Bettis oppose each other with the Rockies here. Tuesday, a 1:10 start for Vince Velasquez and Chris Russell. Bouncer left side. Correa backs up, makes the long throw from the grass, and not caught by Carter. Trumbo reaches.
Chris Carter's played a fine first base for the club this year, but he's actually had a couple of balls clank recently. This is not an ideal location for this throw. You see over the top from Correa. I don't know if he's going to get the E here, but
he is.
That's I don't know, maybe a little more extended stretch. You catch that before the ball bounces.
First error for Correa in the big leagues. Logan Morrison with a pair of homers has driven in 5. He's 2 for 4. There's strike 1. Oh well, if you're going to make an error, make it in a game like this, right?
Yep. Yeah, but you know, a guy like Carlos and almost anybody out there on the field, they don't want to make an error anytime.
Nope. 1-1. Well, especially because of what we were talking about a moment ago. Gregerson's on the mound. Forces him now to pitch to at least one more batter because a play was not made. And the Astros do not want to have him overextended for tomorrow in this inning. 1-2. And And it's looking very much like tomorrow's game is the rubber game of this series, with Lance McCullers 2-1 with a 2.32 ERA. Roenis Elias 3-3 with a 2.79. Two guys who have pitched extremely well matching up tomorrow. Pre-game show is on the air at 12:30 tomorrow. Hope you'll be able to join us if you're not here in person. Sunday crowds have really been good in the dirt, and it's 2-2. There's some special Father's Day pricing for the Monday and Tuesday games with the Rockies.
And you might want to get on down here a little earlier than maybe you've done in the past. Long lines were reported outside the stadium today. It turned out to be a terrific crowd.
36,762. Second largest of the year. That's foul back. Well, next weekend these two teams will be squaring off at Safeco Field in Seattle.
U.S. Open in golf going on in Seattle during that week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do you think you'll be able to get out there? No, you won't, because you'll be in Colorado for a couple days. And you get out there. Well, you could go out Friday.
Possibly. I don't know exactly the location. We're staying in a different hotel on this trip.
Oh. Morrison strikes out. That does it for the top of the ninth. No runs, no hits, one error, one left. 8-1 Seattle.
Springer picked up a solid base hit early in the ball game, added a double a little later right here as he drives one on line to right field. Well, that bat has been strong for George in recent times. The batting average continues to escalate. Really need that bat to be alive for this team to have their best chances.
Springer has come up from 195 to 260 since May 20th with that nice surge. He's 2 for 4 today with an RBI. Well, Bueno Gonzalez and Castro due up in the Astros ninth inning. Vidal Nuno, pitcher number 3, comes in the game. There are other changes as well for Lloyd McClendon. Danny Farquhar in 2 innings allowed no hits, no runs. He had 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. Mike Montgomery, the starter, in line for his first major league win. Nuno gets a little tap. Valbuena fielded by the catcher Zunino, who throws him out. 1 pitch, 1 out for Nuno. Nuno is from San Diego. He went to Baker University, drafted by Cleveland in 09. He was with the Yankees in Arizona. Coming in to try to get 2 more outs and nail down win number 28 of the year for Seattle. Marwin Gonzalez is 0 for 3.
3 innings pitched Thursday at Cleveland, that can curtail a guy's ability to get out there. So this is impressive.
It's a pretty good bounce back. Marwin with ball one. The Mariners a bit strapped because they've had 2 early exits by starters in the last 3 games. 1-1. It's a 2-ball 1-strike count. Nuno was acquired in a 6-player trade along with Mark Trumbo from Arizona June 3rd. He fields the comebacker. 2 down. And Jason Castro, who has a perfect day going. A single, a double, and a walk. We'll give it a shot a 4th time. Nuno was a starter earlier this year for AAA Reno in the PCL. 3-3 with a 3.38 ERA there in 8 starts. It's ball 1. The Astros had lost 7 in a row. They won last night. Now trailing 8-1 in the 9th, down to their final out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Seattle has dropped 8 of 11. Similar fortunes for these 2 clubs in recent weeks. 1-2. They're still delayed in Arlington, Texas in the 7th, 11-3. Rangers, there's rain around Texas this weekend. George Springer's on deck. It's 2-2.
We're talking potentially heavy rain around here today, and we haven't seen a thing. Maybe coming in early in the day.
There was some overnight. Castro struck out, and the Mariners have evened this series. They've